2 has entered the podcast.
Welcome back, people, to Player 2 has entered the podcast. I am your co-host, Michael, a.k.a. MC Paperstacks, and with me, as always, is my co-host with the co-most,
Derrick, a.k.a. Full Metal Merc, and we're back again for another episode, baby.
Woo! This week has been intense for me, Derrick.
Why is that?
Like, new console intense.
Ooh.
Remember how, like, when you first got your PlayStation 5, and you played like 68 games that week?
Yes.
Add Games Pass to that.
Oh, Games Pass Premium Plus.
Oh, that's right. The subscription is free, but you have to pay for the game. No, I'm just kidding. In this case, the subscription you pay for, and then the games are, yeah. So I thought I would take this time on my podcast, my gaming podcast, as it were, to discuss my experience with the Xbox Series X, what I like, what I don't like in comparison to my PS5 and my Switch. Why not? Yeah, I've pretty much had the Xbox all week. I ended up picking it up on Saturday, so like the day after we recorded last week. So I've had it since last Saturday. Ooh. And overall, I really like it. I played a ton of games on Games Pass. We'll talk about that here in a few on what we're playing. There are some pros and some cons. Here's some stuff I did not like about it. We'll just start off with the bad.
Okay. All right.
Headsets. None of the headsets I have work with the Xbox. Not my earbuds. I swear to God. 2 different earbuds and 2 different headsets. I have one of them's in Turtle Beach. None of them work. And I like went online and they're like, yeah, some shit doesn't work with Xbox Series X. Figure it out. And then I go and I look at the best headsets and like the cheapest one's like $75. And I'm like, shit, dude.
Right. I got Amiibos to buy. This is ridiculous.
Right? Exactly. But the thing is, it's just Xbox is probably going to be where I play a lot of multiplayer because a lot of other people that I know that have Games Pass, like, you know, they put a lot of multiplayer games on Games Pass, and it's just easy. If you and a friend group has Games Pass, there's no excuse not to play like a new multiplayer. I need a headset, damn it. So that's annoying. I don't like that. They're still doing the batteries for the controller thing.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Xbox?
They must own some battery company or something.
They're in bed with Duracell for sure. Because that's what it came with. It came with 2 Duracells.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is then.
I'm like, you motherfuckers. So, and of course, with the amount of games that I played, like my first couple of days, the battery almost died. Like, especially Forza 4. Oh, my God. The battery was just like, I'm done. So I had to order like a rechargeable battery pack for the Xbox Series X. Shouldn't have had to do that.
Right.
The last thing I would say as far as the things I didn't like about the Xbox, aside from something it just lacks, it doesn't have that SSD. So the load times, while not long traditionally, are not short either. They're just the load times you would normally expect from gaming, from game to game. Right? Some are good, some are not. So it has the disadvantage of that. Graphically, I haven't seen much of a difference, but I haven't been playing those graphics-pushing games yet. And to be honest, my eyes, I don't know. I did play, it's not a game I'm going to mention later. I played a little bit of the upgraded version of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and I did it on 60 frames, and that was cool.
Cool.
It had 60 frames, and it looked great. So the last thing, its version of sleep mode, which we talked about in a previous episode, how it drains so much power if you leave it in this particular mode. It's not easily accessible. When you first set up your Xbox, it asks you if you want to have that mode on or not. And I chose not because I didn't want it to drain so much power, even though I do shut things off at night, just throughout the day, right? Mm-hmm. And what I noticed is if I want stuff to download in the background, when I go to shut off the Xbox, there's no option to put it in sleep mode. I'd probably have to go back in the settings, toggle that mode on, and then shut it off and let it do its thing. And I don't really like that. With the Xbox
design choice.
I don't know why it's just not on the power off menu like it is for PlayStation. Xbox One had a cool thing, which it still wasn't as smooth as PlayStation 4, but with Xbox One, if you just shut it off, it automatically went into sleep mode. That was its default. But if you held the power button for 5 seconds, it would completely shut down. Mm-hmm. And once I learned that little ditty, that was just what I did. I didn't have to go in a menu or anything. I just knew however long I held the power button is the type of power I'm going to shut down, right? I still think the menu is better, but at least it was quick to access. With the Series X, having to go into another menu to update a setting every single time I want to shut it down, whether I want it to go in sleep mode or not, considering how many games I had to download this week, because I pretty much had to download everything, I don't like it. Man. So that's all the bad stuff out of the way. Okay, here's the good stuff.
Games Pass.
Games Pass is definitely a good thing. So for $1 right now, and then $15 a month starting sometime in August, I'll have my Xbox Gold subscription, online play, and the free games every month. Still getting that, plus access to the EA's Games Pass and the Xbox Games Pass. So all the EA games and a bunch of Xbox games, and I could just download and play whatever I want. That's great.
Sweet.
And it's much better and more robust than PlayStation Now, just from what's offered. I mean, we talked about it recently on Gamer Friends. 27 of the 30 games discussed at E3, day one Games Pass.
Yeah.
That's insane. PlayStation ain't fucking with that at all. Right?
I don't know anyone who uses PS Now.
Yeah, I don't either, because who cares? You know what I mean? Right. So there's that. Spotify integration. I don't think this is a thing that PlayStation does, but Xbox does do it because of the whole Blades and the Windows system that they have. I did this with Forza Horizon 4 this week, where I downloaded Spotify and logged in on my Series X, and then I switched over to Forza, and then when I pushed, the Xbox button in to get my Blades up, it literally had a slider from Spotify to the game volume that I could move, so I could adjust how loud Spotify was versus my game. So nice. I tweaked my Forza settings to have focus on the sound effects in the car, and I turned the Forza radio off, and then I slid the Spotify to where it sounded like my radio, and boom, I had my custom radio while I was driving around. It was fucking awesome. It was the best integration of that old-ass idea we've had since the original Xbox, but it was the best implementation of it. And again, if I found that the songs were too loud or I could just quickly go on the menu and adjust by like 5% either way on the fly. It was mwah. Love that.
You'll make me get it.
Quick resume on multiple games, even if I shut the Xbox down. It somehow holds a part of the loading on games, multiple games, mind you. Like I had up to 5 on quick resume at one time. I don't know what the limit is. So that way, when I went to select that game, because I played it recently, I just hopped right in wherever I was, like at the pause menu or whatever I was doing. So it's like how you can put a single game in sleep mode on PS5 or PS4, but you can do it for multiple games on the Series X.
All right. Okay, yeah. Microsoft. All right.
PS5 was talking that shit like they would do it too, but you and I both have one. They do not do that.
Yeah.
You can do one game. That is it. Good luck. So... The ease of getting my profile over was a lot better. You know how much of a pain of an ass it was to move your stuff from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5? You had to have them both turned on and be on the same network. And then that whole kerfuffle with Final Fantasy VII Remake and moving that data over and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
With Xbox, as soon as I turned it on, it was like, if you want, you can download this app on your phone and it'll get everything. It'll just find your profile. It'll connect with your current Xbox on your network. And boom, you'll have all your shit moved over. And they were right. It took me mere minutes. And it had access to all my previous Xbox shit that I had from my Xbox 360 days, what little I did on the Xbone, all of it was there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I could start downloading any of those games immediately if I wanted to, and I could import settings if I wanted to, all that good stuff. So that was great. The last thing I thought was really cool, PlayStation does not do this at all, to my understanding, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Nintendo does it a little bit. Nintendo has a thing where if you buy a game, you get those rewards points. You get your gold points, which is money off future games. Not much. You buy a $60 game, you get 60 points, 60 gold coins, which is like $1 off or something, right? With the Xbox, the more you play, you just get these rewards points, and it'll give you a notification when you gain them, either from playing so many Games Pass games to getting achievements, and then getting so many in a certain period of time or whatever. I was continuously accruing rewards points, and I went in to look at the gifts, and it's like swag and gift cards and shit. And I can actually set it to automatically purchase a $10 gift card once I get enough points. And I was like, do that, please.
So it's basically, when Xbox 360 came out with achievements, everybody was like, I should be able to spend these points on something that I'm getting. They shouldn't just be, just to look at.
Yeah, so I remember hearing about that, yeah.
Yeah, so now it looks like that's exactly what they're doing now. That's pretty
They must
dope.
have taken it to heart because literally I'm getting paid to play video games.
That's pretty cool.
Now, again, I'm not getting a ton of money, but I'm getting more than what Nintendo gives you, and I'm getting more than what PlayStation gives you because they give you nothing.
Zero. Nada.
You get no rewards for playing on PlayStation. And again, listeners,
you pay for a game, you play
if
a game.
I am wrong, please correct me because I've been playing on my PlayStation primarily for a long time, and I have seen no such rewards. Other than them being like, bro, do you want to pre-order this PlayStation 5? We are giving you priority. Thank you for that, by the way. Other than that, nothing. So that's me gushing about my Series X. I will gush about it a little bit more in what we're playing, but let me ask you first, Derrick, this week on the Video Game Podcast, please let me know, what have you been playing, sir?
I've been playing Scarlett Nexus on the PS5. The PS5 version. It looks beautiful. The frame rate is really, really good. I don't think I've dropped any frames one time playing that game. This is probably Bandai Namco's first actually really good anime game that they've published, and I'm enjoying pretty much every minute of it. I will say, as far as the story goes, when it starts moving, it does not fucking stop. It kind of left me feeling like, God damn, I just met some of these people and now they're doing all this crazy shit. All this crazy shit's happening. What's going on? I've only been playing for 5 hours. But it's really fun. The gameplay I would equate to, like I told somebody else, a step down from Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, which isn't bad because those are like top tier action games. But
how would you say it compares to Astral Chain?
I would say the combat is better than Astral Chain. I would definitely say that.
Okay.
Because you have so many powers and abilities that you can draw on. You have the psychokinesis, which is both main characters' special ability. Mm-hmm. You can throw anything from cars. You can ride a bus and knock enemies down. You can you can drop oil on enemies, and then you can use pyrokinesis from a different teammate to light them on fire. Like, it's very intuitive, and there are a lot of different ways to play.
Like a lot of different combos of powers, you mean?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's why there's so many characters. That's either a detriment or a positive in its case, because while the more characters I have, the more special powers I can use, but also the more characters I have, the more names I have to learn, the more names I get to forget, the less I get to care about everybody. So, it's kind of a give and take, but man, Scarlett Nexus, it's nice. And the story, I'm very intrigued to what's going on. I can't wait to get to the end. I know that the second main character, Kasane, she has like kind of a different story route that she travels. I don't know if I'm going to replay the whole game as her as well, because I heard it takes about 25 hours. I'm on phase 5 of 12, which are basically the chapters. And I'm like, damn, I've been playing for like 8 hours. I'm only on phase 5. I'm not even halfway through the damn game.
Okay, so it's probably like a 25, 30-hour action game, you'd say?
Yeah, it's meaty, man.
Yeah,
it is meaty.
I mean, unless they front load it and the back chapters are shorter, which does happen sometimes. True.
And like, you got different side quests you can go on and stuff like that, but I'm really enjoying it, man.
Cool.
I like it. I want to get finished with it fast though, so I can play Judgment. Because I decided to play that first.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, well, let me rattle off what I've been playing. Now, what I've been playing has increased. I'm even leaving some games off the list, but I played so much just, having fun with all the access to all the new games on the Series X. One of the first games I had to try out was Battletoads, because that's Xbox exclusive and it's a beat 'em up. And it's really good. I always thought the animation
about that game.
Yeah, I always thought the animation on the new Battletoads looked a little off, like a little cheap maybe, or a little flash animation, you know what I mean? But when you actually play it, it looks way better. It just doesn't translate on video, I don't think. But it looks smooth. You can actually switch between the 3 main characters on the fly, and they all have their own HP. So if you're getting your ass kicked, you can switch to another character, or you'll automatically switch if your character dies, and then he has a certain amount of time before he'll revive with partial health. So that actually really helps. The characters all have their different strengths, and one's like big and slow, and the other one is really fast and has a higher combo count. They throw in a lot of mini games and extra stuff. For a person looking for like a pure, just straight up beat 'em up, it may be a little annoying. I found it okay to break up the action. Like, they even have a speeder bike section, which is not near as frustrating as the NES version of the game, luckily.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the game has a pretty decent sense of humor, too. I would compare it to probably like Ratchet and Clank as far as the goofiness, you know?
Uh-huh.
And there's a bit of self-awareness about how they're an old franchise and they're being revived after like 20-something years. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm going to be playing that definitely, I think, on a future episode of Monday Night Brawlers. So look forward to that. And honestly, had a great time with it, and I probably couldn't recommend it enough to anybody who is a fan of beat-em-ups. It's got, like I said, a really decent battle system. It feels... sometimes beat-em-ups, especially from a classic era, can feel kind of cheap sometimes, like you can't avoid damage. In this game, whenever I got hit, I felt like it was my fault because each enemy is unique in the way that they attack you and the way that you deal with them. And the difficulty comes when they throw all those different enemy types and you have to juggle when to dodge, when to attack, when, like, where you're spacing your character in relation to the environmental hazards and their attacks that are incoming.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a very smart beat-em-up, I have to admit. I played some Sunset Overdrive just to try it out on Series X. It plays great on Series X. Not much else to report there. It took me a second to remember exactly. There's a weird flow to Sunset Overdrive. Have you ever played it? I don't know if we ever talked about if you played it before.
Yeah, I played about 6 hours of it. I enjoyed what I played.
Yeah. There is a dash button and then that grind button. And you really have to get married to the proper timing for dashing and grinding and dashing while you're grinding and switching directions while you're shooting and aiming. And it's very particular. And if you don't get in that groove, you're going to have a bad time. But once you remember and practice and get in that groove and make sure that you are very familiar with dashing and grinding while you shoot, it then becomes, like you said, it feels like there's a flow. Like it feels good. So that was something I had to remind myself on. I played Carrion for the first time because it's on Games Pass. It's a game I've been meaning to buy, but just haven't yet. It's actually decent. I thought it looked more like a Metroidvania, where like you would go through, because it's like 2D and your side scrolling is like this mass of flesh and tentacles and teeth, right? And you're attacking humans and it looks like trying to escape a lab, basically. But it plays more like a linear adventure game. And it doesn't even have a map. So basically you're going around and eventually you do get an ability that helps you traverse past the level you're on. And you do kind of go back and forth. But your limited options on where you can go until you get the next ability kind of guides you along a particular path. And it's broken up occasionally by you jumping into what I can only describe as like the past mind logs of the humans that discovered the place. And that helps because eventually you'll get mind powers where you can shoot a tentacle at somebody and control them for a small portion, so you already know how to control a human being. There's this ebb and flow because some powers you only get access to as you amass more flesh. So you have like 3 different like bars for that. Then the other powers you have when you were a smaller mass, you lose access to those. So there are areas where you have to dump some of your flesh in order to use an ability you need to traverse or get past a particular area.
Knack, baby.
Yeah. It's really weird. So, yeah, it's kind of like Knack, just a gross version.
Fleshy Knack.
Fleshy Knack. Fleshy Knack too, baby. It gets kind of repetitive and monotonous, I hate to say, once you get to the back half of the game. I still think it's interesting enough to where I'm going to finish it, and I think I'm pretty close to finishing it, but I don't know if it's going to be for everyone past the original novelty of, because you're just unstoppable. There's really no difficulty to the game. Like, they try to introduce tougher robots, but the fact that you can just backtrack and you're always near like a save point where you can replenish any damage that you take, and you move so fast around the level, like, you're way overpowered. And then nothing they throw at you can really... I think I only died once, and that's because I was being reckless. Yeah, that's what I'd say about that. I played Subnautica.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about how we were interested in that game because of how Below Zero looked really interesting.
Right.
It's a lot more of a survival game than I thought it was. Like, I crash land... Like, this ship explodes, and you're in a small pod, and you crash land near the ship, and I wanted to go to the ship to explore it, but there's bad radiation. And then I wanted to dive down and explore the ocean, but I run out of air like every 10 seconds. And I started to pick up supplies, and there's a fabricator on your little pod, and I realized, oh, I have to gather resources and then build a better suit and then build a better oxygen and then build a scanner. And then this is basically No Man's Sky, but the not crap version, but also just in the ocean. But also I constantly have to worry about breath. Also, luckily they give you the option. The default mode of the game, you have to worry about thirst and hunger too. And I was like, no. And so they were like, okay, then you just do survival light. And I'm like, fine. So there's actually an extra layer to the game where you have permadeath if you want, and then there's an extra layer in between that where you have to worry about hunger and thirst gauges. And I'm like, no. And unfortunately, it got to the point where it was getting too annoying to explore because I was constantly having to... Like, all I wanted to do was swim around the ocean and find cool shit, but I constantly had to worry about surfacing, and that just got really annoying to me. So I don't know if Below Zero is better. And it's definitely, again, as far as the art... and the creatures, and your fact you're on this alien ocean, all that's really cool. It's just, I got sick of getting interrupted because I had to go take a breath, you know?
Right, I had to go take a piss, man. Come on.
Yeah. And then just knowing, like, okay, I have to get these crystals, but you have to get those from these other crystals, but you have to refine from these pieces that I find of these coral, but they're only over here. So I go grab those, and I go back up to the thing to refine them, and I go, oh, I'm carrying too much shit. Okay, I got to dump those. Oh, I can make a portable thing to dump them. Okay, I'll dump them in the portable thing, and I'll go get the other. Wait, where's my portable thing? Oh, shit, I just lost all the stuff I grabbed. Oh, now I got to grab it all over again. That bullshit. Not with it. I didn't like it.
No, thanks.
I played Tetris Effect. Oh, my God. You know what a big fan I am of Tetris, right? Mm-hmm. This has got to be, outside of arguably the Tetris DS, the best version of Tetris I've ever played. Oh my God, it's so good. There is a journey mode, and they have all these other modes that I've tried some of them, and others I still need to try. But the journey mode is like a story mode, and you're playing Tetris, and there's these different environments and colors and different effects going on, and the music just really like syncs up and is affected by how you're dropping the Tetrinos. Right. It's amazing. And the difficulty ebbs and flows if you're going through journey mode, like on normal or hard or easy or whatever. They'll increase the speed and decrease the speed. So it's almost like running a marathon where like you have inclines and declines set on automatic. So sometimes I'll be doing really good, and then they'll ramp up the speed, and now I'm just trying to survive and not let my Techinos get to the top, and then it slows down again, and I try to work it back down some more, and it's in these chunks of levels. I was like, man, I gotta take a spicy gummy and play this. This is amazing. Like, it was that kind of vibe. I was immersed. And then I remember that there's actually a version of Tetris Effect on VR. This would be so perfect for VR because the marriage of music and gameplay and ambiance is just, it's perfect. This is great. This has got to be easily in my top 2 Tetris games of all time. Easily the top 2. I don't know. Ooh. I haven't sat with it long enough to know if it's better than Tetris DS, because Tetris DS is so cool. But for anybody that's even just marginally a fan of Tetris, or you get down with Tetris 99 occasionally, you owe it to yourself to check out Tetris Effect. The thing is, it's been out for a while, so I've slept on this game. I got kind of burned because I bought that bad Tetris game that Ubisoft released. I can't remember what the name of that one was, but it was terrible. And I was like, oh, no, I don't know if I want to buy any more Tetris games. I would say, if you haven't already checked it out, if you're a Tetris fan, because you were like me and you're like, I don't know if it's as good as people say it is. It is. It's as good as people say it is. It's better than what people say it is. I'm mad that I didn't try it before. Thank you, Xbox Series X Game Pass.
Games
Pass. The last thing that I'm going to talk about that I grabbed specifically on Games Pass, even though it's not the only thing I played this week, Forza Horizon 4. I downloaded it specifically because I wanted to go find Cedric's records and beat them. I was like, Audio Nerd 64, friend me! But it doesn't work like the original Forza Horizon, which is the last one I played was the original one on 360. And you have what they call these drive-avatars. They're avatars made up of your friends that play Forza, and they just drive around the world. And have you ever played Forza Horizon?
Yeah, I played the third one.
Okay, so you gotta know the general concept. Yeah, but in 4, they do away with that, so you can't really challenge drive-avatars to impromptu races. And there are some things where you can check your friends' records, but they make it more difficult to do so when you finish certain races. So there were some things that I was able to beat his records on, like most roads driven on, or like a stunt jump, and I saw that, he got so many feet, and I was like, I got so many more feet. Ha-ha! But other than that, it didn't feel as satisfying to beat records as it did in the original Forza. Aside from that, though, Forza Horizon 4 is really cool because I don't think they had this in 3, but they have seasons. So you're like in this huge chunk of Europe and the countryside in England or whatever. I don't remember exactly where you are, but it will switch from summer to fall to winter to spring. And you can do that as you gain clout. And the races and the roads and the physics completely change from one season to another. And the landscape is even more varied than the one I originally played. It's still cheesy. I mean, you played Forza. It's like, oh, come and join us.
Right.
It's off the chain, off the hook.
Oh, yeah.
Appropriated
Racers.
culture. It's bad. So the radio is a mixed bag. There were some songs on it that were good. I remember Cedric on one of the previous episodes of Gamer Friends. He was lauding the radio on Forza Horizon 4. He was like, this the first one where I didn't put on Spotify. It's the best radio ever. And I think that was just kind of honeymooning. You know what I mean? Like you just started playing the game. Because I got to Rapper's Delight and I was like, nope.
Right.
Why is Rapper's Delight on this radio? That song sucks. I'm sorry, old people. That song sucks. It's bad.
No.
And you know what's funny about Rapper's Delight? It had to be edited a lot. Like the way that they edit songs in Forza Horizon is they just kind of drop out the questionable term. Mm-hmm. You know, one of them says something like, because again, I didn't notice this before until they actually cut it out. And I was like, oh, he made a gay joke there. Oh, I forgot that was a lot of rap is like that. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't age well. And I used to think that Rapper's Delight was so tame. Like, basically, Rapper's Delight to me is like the kid's bop of rap. You know, there's a whole verse about a guy eating a bad chicken dinner at his friend's house. Like, that's just, I mean, again, you know, you got to crawl before you walk. I get it, rap music. I get it. There's a lot of 80s rap songs that I love, but it's just, why are we hanging on to Rapper's Delight? It's not that good. Let it go.
Let it go, guys.
That's my side rant about Rapper's Delight. Moving on. So, Monster Hunter Stories 2 dropped today as of the time of recording on the 9th.
Ooh.
I got a chance to check that out, and I was using my Amiibos to get, like, different costumes and things. Cool. I love a game that uses Amiibos. I'm
when you're using your Amiibos, are you, like, pulling them all out of your china cabinet and got them all sitting on your lap, and you're just like, woohoo.
Shut up.
Like a big kid.
You shut up about me and my Amiibos. I love them, and they love me.
He said, I gotta take a half hour to take these bugs out.
Right.
Scan each and every one.
Well, luckily, and I'm so glad they did this, I was going to do that. I had it ready to go. And I definitely did it with all the Monster Hunter Amiibo that I have because they will give you for each set. So the Japanese set, if you just scan one of them, you get the thing. And if you scan another, it says you already got the thing, but here's some extra rewards. So any Amiibo will get you like items and shit, right?
Oh, okay.
And then you get a special outfit for the set for Rise, the set for this game, and then the set for the original Monster Hunter Stories. So you're not, which sucks is the ones that I still had in box from Japan, I took them out not knowing that, and I didn't have to. So I deboxed some, but I mean, whatever. I was never going to get rid of them.
Yeah, you were going to do that anyway.
Yeah. So eventually I was going to debox them. So I deboxed them, but they limit you to only scanning 10 Amiibos a day. And I was like, thank you. Thank you so much. You don't understand.
I would have been here for hours.
I would have been here forever. No. So that's really nice. And since I have that little book of Zelda Amiibos, like via cards, I would just scan like 10 of those and I wouldn't have to worry about displacing all my Amiibos. So that's nice too.
Nope.
So there you go. But yeah, it's a good RPG and it's interesting because and the way it marries a lot of the traditional Monster Hunter tropes into an RPG. I don't know if it's going to have staying power with me because the story is story. It's village of monster rider people who train monsters. A monster got angry. Here's an egg. There's a mysterious girl. People are chasing her. Let's go hunt monsters for a few hours. You're a new monster rider. We'll train you up. So I'm still kind of in the baby tutorial missions, learning about finding eggs and hatching them and grabbing resources and shit like that. And it's cool, but it hasn't really gripped me or taken off or anything yet. So more to come on that. Again, I really just got it because I want to make sure I got a Raise Wing Amiibo. If it wasn't for the Amiibo, I probably wouldn't own this game.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt when I was playing the demo. I was like, okay, this is just pretty much baby's first JRPG.
Yeah, I mean,
feels.
it's a little more complicated than that. I don't want to
Yeah.
like cut it down and say like it's Miitopia or anything, but I don't know. I need more time with it. I do think if you're a Monster Hunter fan and you like JRPGs, this is going to be your jam for sure.
Yeah, the thing that confused me about the gameplay was the battle system, the power, speed, and technical.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, even if I picked the one that was better than the enemy, I still took damage.
You will. You'll take a little bit of
You'll
damage.
just take
because they still take into account your strength versus their strength. Think of it like giving you an advantage as far as any disparity between you and the enemy, but not completely negating damage. So it's not like rock, paper, scissors where they win, you lose, you win, they lose, right?
Oh, okay.
It's just a trade-off. Also, another thing to get into, which they don't really highlight in the demo, the different weapons. Now you can carry 3 different weapons at a time, right?
Uh-huh.
You really want to do stop and experiment because just like they kind of showed you with the hammer and that one monster that holds up a rock, there are monsters that are weak to bows or gun lances, and that's it, or they're more weak to swords or mallets or whatever, right? So you also have to take that into account as well as the power, speed, technical dynamic, and then the timing to which you actually use special abilities and when you ride the monster and use the monster abilities, because you get points for when you decide to do these things and how you implement them in battle. And that's really where it's at, because these battles are about gathering experience, but also resources. And S-ranking battles is something you want to continue to do, which gets harder as the battles get tougher. So you want to use your special abilities that you accrue and the points you have to execute those abilities with good timing in order to get the most out of them points-wise. And that's where the strategy comes in.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. I'm into it. I mean, it's charming. I like Naviru. I think he's pretty cool. But, again, time will tell if I'm going to, like, really get into this and finish it. And we'll talk about that on subsequent episodes, probably. All right, let me get to my streaming games real quick. So, Monday Night Brawlers. I played Urban Reign. I'm actually glad I went ahead and played that because they do have a multiplayer version, but it's isolated from the main campaign. So I think if you came over, we probably would have just played Mortal Kombat. Speaking of which, do you want to maybe do an early episode of Brawlers this Monday?
Yeah, we can try it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so schedule's willing. We'll try that out. We'll play Mortal Kombat. If not, I think I am going to play Battletoads. So either Battletoads solo or Mortal Kombat with you, I think is what we're going to do upcoming Monday. But Urban Reign. Urban Reign's actually kind of tough.
It's...
Yeah, and the difficulty spikes randomly too. I think with enough time with it, you can get really good at it. But the thing is, the most crucial mechanic is definitely the dodge, and the timing can change from enemy to enemy, I've noticed. And then, of course, picking abilities where you can kind of like jump off the wall and do like the series of chain kicks or the grabs, different stuff like that. So I don't think it's impossible, but it's definitely not a game that's going to go easy on you. And if you make a mistake, it'll make you suffer for it. Also, what I don't like is the structure. They just kind of toss you into, they load you up in an arena with one or multiple people. Usually if it's one, it's over for you. The one-on-one fights are the worst because they make the guy really tough. But yeah, and there's a woman you meet early on in like one of the cutscenes in the beginning of the game who's giving you missions. I still don't know what the fuck I'm doing or why. I'm beating people up because I'm not like a mercenary or a cop. I'm just some dude who does things my own way. And I think he's voiced by Steve Bloom, actually. I think he's Spike.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely cool moments, but there was just no story. It was just text. It was just the girl going, these guys, you got to fight because you got to show them who's boss, and we don't know which gang they're with. So punch them in the face. All right, thanks.
Right.
And because of, you have an RPG mechanic where you get 1 or 2 points to pour into attack or defense. Defense is crazy because it's like overall endurance, head endurance, upper body endurance, lower body endurance. And I'm like, really? Do I need all this? You can't grind or replay previous missions to get more points if things get hard. So why is it there other than to give you the potential to misspend your points and therefore make the game impossible for you, so you have to start over? Like, I was ready to, like, Google and look up a guide, like, how to properly build your character to actually get through this game, because I was just putting all my points into Strike, which was cool, but then if I got punched once, I just went down. So, Urban Rain, maybe with a guide. I don't know. It's still, graphically, especially for the time it came out, it looks great. Yeah. And it plays great. It plays a lot like a fighting game, like Tekken or something. It's just...
Well, yeah, it's basically the same
Namco
developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that it's basically Tekken Force Mode from Tekken 3. Just upgraded and updated.
Yeah, like as its own game. You're completely right. That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. And when you have two players, you can do like combo throwing moves, and they're so cool. I don't know if you were able to see any or looked any up, but they're so cool, man.
I saw some 2-player combo stuff with like the videos or whatever that autoplay when you don't press start on the game. Like the second player could play as the woman, who is a total smoke show, by the way. That dress, I was like, woo, girl. Ooh, and again, on PS2, I was like, look at you with your bad self on PS2.
Right.
usually men and women on PS2, when they try to look sexy, it does not work out. But no, she was looking all right. I was like, let's spend some time on this chick.
Right.
But yeah, for First Time Tuesdays, I played the UnMetal demo. Remember UnMetal? I was talking about it during the E3 coverage.
Yeah.
It's the spoof of Metal Gear on MSX.
Yeah.
It's not as funny as I thought it would be, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's definitely very referential and it's third wall breaking or whatever, and that's cute at first, but the humor never really landed outside of one or two times, maybe just once actually, while I was playing it. The gameplay is pretty competent, and I was enjoying when I played of it. The demo ended like 45 minutes though, and I'm like, I usually play 2 hours on Tuesdays. So I very awkwardly fumbled through trying to start another game on Steam, but then I found out during the stream that it was broken. I was like, oh, that's cool. I spent money on that. I think it was like Legacy of Kain. Legacy of Kain just doesn't work. So I have to figure out what's going on with that. So I fired up my PS2 emulator, and after a couple of false starts and then having to like tweak the speed because it was like 1.5 speed for some reason, I started playing Michigan Report from Hell. Michigan Report from Hell is a PS2 horror game developed by Grasshopper. Suda 51, basically. So think Killer 7, No More Heroes, Shadows of the Damned, stuff like that.
Killer is Dead.
Killer is Dead, Let It Die. Yeah, all that stuff. So it's definitely, there's this meter at the like you're a cameraman, and I guess you're supposed to capture like weird events, and you're with this other guy. He's a boom mic operator named Briscoe. He's the worst. And there's a reporter. Briscoe's like, hey, you see that woman over there? She's that famous reporter you've heard of. Don't try to talk to her, though. She's way out of your league. And at the top of your camera, there is a kind of suspense for S on the right side. And on the left, there's E for erotic. So apparently the shots that you can take could either be suspenseful, like action or horror, or they can be erotic. And I found out pretty quickly what Suda 51 meant by that, because there's a moment where you're filming the female reporter and she's walking backwards, and you have a chance to warn her. And I did before she fell over a board. But if you let her fall over, you can shoot an upskirt. And I'm like, God damn it, Japan.
Nice.
Yeah. Which again is on brand for Suda 51. I like how strange and weird his games are. But man, if you go back through the lens of sexism, it is bad. I think we talked about like the opening of No More Heroes 2 and how bad that was. Yeah. But it's just like, come on, man. But anyways, the game itself was actually pretty funny in the bad voice acting, but it was also very slowly paced. So the moments that were actually interesting were kind of few and far between as I was playing. It may be something I'll revisit for Friday Night Frights as a lark, but I'm glad I had this practice run on Tuesday for filler, because there was a lot of stuff in the game that wasn't explained. Like in the beginning, he was like, focus on these boxes. And I looked at him and I zoomed in and I didn't really know what I was doing. And it just wouldn't advance. And I found out that I had to look at them and then I had to press A just cause.
Wow.
Just cause. And it didn't tell you that. It doesn't explain that to you. So it's something I took a disturbingly long amount of time to figure out. All right, so played some more Judgment for Casual Thursdays. Not much more to say. It's a great game. I'm not going to bore you with going on and on about that, especially since you're going to play it pretty soon. Maybe something we can do a spoiler cast about this year. Yeah. And then Resident Evil Village. I was supposed to be up against Heisenberg, but he set up basically a gauntlet of werewolves for me to fight. Those really tough werewolf creatures. Like I was in this kind of silo or castle with them, and they just were endless. And then I fought the big giant werewolf guy with a huge hammer, kicked his ass, and now I think I finally am on my way to see Heisenberg. So by the time this episode releases on Twitch and YouTube, I will have hopefully already defeated him, and I'm moving on to Mother Miranda. So I think I'm pretty close to beating the game.
Yeah,
I really like it.
Close.
This is one of the first Resident Evil games I've played in a while where I'm like really keen to go back and play through a second time. Like I'm excited to do so. I mean, most Resident Evil games are already like that, but this one in particular, I feel like I'd have a lot of fun with. So I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's been entertaining from start to finish. So
good.
Yep. All right. Well, I think about at this time, because I'm just out of breath and I played too many games this week, it might be time to get into gaming news.
Ooh, gaming news.
What we got this week for gaming news, Derek?
All right. So we got a Xbox Series S portable screen that attaches to your console. It's from a company called Upspec Gaming, and they put a Kickstarter up for it, and it was funded in 20 minutes.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if you guys...
how much was the funding for?
Oh, I think it was only for like $9,000 or something. Like, something very, very small. But they had 362 Kickstarters or funders or whatever they call people. Backers. There you go. And I just think that's really cool because I remember back in the day of like PS1 and 2 and GameCube where you had the LCD screen for the PS1.
Yeah, little screen you could attach.
Mm-hmm. And they were so small and tiny, and it was like the coolest fucking thing. Like, you saw it all the time, but you never owned it type thing. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted one of those things, but looking back now, I'm like, that LCD screen for that PS1 was really small. Like, you had to be up on that thing to be able to see what you were playing.
Still
but
cool
this
for the
screen,
time.
Yeah, this screen is like basically the size of the Series S in itself.
Like
so
it would fold over it like a MacBook, right? That's my understanding. Okay.
Yeah. So I just think that's really cool. You can go on Kickstarter and back them if you want to get one for yourself. Mm-hmm. It's the Xbox Series X screen.
What's the buy-in for it?
You can reserve the screen for $1, or you could lock in early bird pricing for $159. The full price of it would be $249.
Not bad for the type of screen.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little more than... Well, no, it's not a little more than what I would pay. I just wouldn't pay for that. But it is a cool thing that exists if you have a Series S. And the beautiful thing about this is one of the first consoles that's all digital that has it might be the first console that's all digital that has a screen like this that attaches to it. So you don't have to carry around your games or anything.
Maybe.
Like over to your friend's house or...
You may or may not have heard of this, especially since you go to a lot of resale shops like Disc Replay, but there are other versions or prototypes of this that have been done for previous systems like Xbox One.
Okay.
Yeah, like it would come in almost like a briefcase carrying case, and you would open it up and the console...
Oh, like the games monitor?
Yeah, and the games monitor on the top. So, I mean, it's similar to that, but obviously, like you said, how you described it, it's more attached like it would be with the original like PlayStation 1 monitor, how they did it.
Right. So, and the main thing, to my point, was that the console is all digital, so you don't have to take anything. You don't
have to lug any games with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. It's a cool idea, and I'm glad that it got funded. That's really neat.
Yep. A funny thing that happened, apparently Sony had an ad running that featured an upside-down PS5.
Yeah, because it already looks like it's upside down.
Right. When it's laying flat horizontally, they had the disc drive on the top instead of on the bottom. So Sony quickly pulled that ad. I just thought that was funny. That
not even their own people know which way it's supposed to go.
It's like, what is this hulking monstrosity?
Well, that's how I thought it went too. Remember how originally I was like, I put my disc in the wrong way.
Right. And, it makes sense when you think about it. You would think the internals of everything would be more towards the inside, like the laser and everything you think would be towards the center of the console, but
exactly. It's
on the
bottom.
butt.
Yeah,
it's on the booty.
It's something I have to like actively think about every single time I put a disc into my PS5, just because my brain doesn't want to work that way. It's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't go towards the middle. It goes towards the outside.
So, and now that I think about it, though, Even if you stood the Xbox 360 up, wouldn't you put the disc in the same way, or did it go in from the right side?
Well, the thing with the 360 is the disc tray was smack dab in the middle of the tray, and the tray itself came out, and it had writing on it, so you knew which way it went. Right. This one is just a hole, and it's like on like a butt, or like a portion of the shell that's jutting out, and so you could easily think of it as on the top of the console as on the bottom. In fact, you would think on the top because it would lay less oblong if it was on the top. But that's not where it's supposed to go. So of course they got confused. I'm still confused. Why'd they make it look like that? You know what? I'm going to add another cool thing about the Series X. It doesn't make you look like a fucking asshole. Right. This thing looks nice. It's just a small black box. I mean, the holes at the top with the green is stupid. But but not near as stupid as this monstrosity router bullshit that I have in the middle of my entertainment center sitting straight up.
Yeah,
kind of so lodged in between
it's two. It's so ugly.
It is.
It's so ugly.
Why did you do that, PlayStation?
They were like, the future is now.
Like, you remember that boomerang controller we had for PS3? Well, watch us top that.
Right.
Anyways... Man. Well, on to some other interesting things. There is an Amiibo rumor flying around, which I think is probably false, but people were... There's been an image floating around of AiAi, the little monkey from Super Monkey Ball, having his own Amiibo, and that's releasing in October, so we'll find out soon enough if that's true or not.
Okay.
But... I mean, Metroid Dread's coming out in October, and those Amiibos are already dropped and been pre-ordered to death and are sold out already. So,
right.
I don't know. Plus... the Nintendo logo on the Amiibo box was red, which is usually only reserved for first-party games for Amiibos. The logo actually changes color when you got like a Capcom Amiibo, for instance. So I think it might be faked, but it would be cool. I would love a Super Monkey Ball Amiibo. That would be so neat. Like him and his ball on the stand.
Yeah, a bunch of just third-party Amiibos. Like, just get them done, get them made.
Yeah, Capcom's going in. I'm amazed they didn't do... I mean, well, I guess... now that I think about it for 2 seconds, I'm not amazed anymore. I was going to say, I'm amazed they don't do any Amiibo for Resident Evil. But Village didn't come out for Switch. But the thing is, they do have other Resident Evil games for Switch. I want Resident Evil Amiibo, damn it. Maybe that'll be the last Smash character. Maybe it'll be Leon, since he's so popular and gets all the CG movies.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And then, in more disappointing news, we did not get a Switch Pro this week, but all of those manufacturing rumors about the OLED screen and this and that and the other were true, because very quietly on a Tuesday in the morning, I woke up to this in my Twitter feed. They released the Switch OLED.
OLED model.
I think it's called Switch parentheses OLED model. That's the name.
That's the name.
We asked for a Switch Pro and they gave us a Switch Amateur. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I was desperately looking at this thing, trying to figure out if there were any actual upgrades to the performance or the power. All it is a better speaker, a wider kickstand, the OLED screen itself. So think like if you ever owned a PlayStation Vita, it looks that crisp and beautiful, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Not enough for me to go out and spend $350 on it. So you have the regular Switch model at $300 and it's $350. Here's the big thing, though. I think this is the thing that's going to move units, Derek. Are you ready?
No, I think I am. What is it?
Okay, we go from a 6.2-inch screen, wait for it, to a 7-inch screen.
Boom, baby.
Switch OLED, more like SWOLED. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'm saying. Girl, are you going to stay over there with your 6.2-inch man? Or are you going to get you a 7-inch man?
Actually, sexually, that would make a big difference now that I think about it. Yeah. Well. Anyways, the Switch OLED model, who is this for?
It is for someone who, for some reason, has not bought a Switch yet.
And decided not only do I now want to get a Switch, I want to get the most expensive Switch.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and it's unfortunate, but it's going to sell. Gangbusters. It's going to sell. So yeah, I think it's, if not only for, I feel like scalpers might stay away from this one, But who
I hope
fucking
they
knows
don't.
with
I
that?
hope they go all in and then they just get screwed.
But you're also getting that LAN port.
Yeah,
You're
but you
getting
can
that
spend
LAN
$30
port,
and get you can attach one.
Here's the funny thing, because I was watching videos on it, and when I thought back on it, I was like, wow, this is the first Nintendo console with a LAN port.
Is that true? I thought
The Wii U did not
GameCube?
have one.
No.
The Wii didn't have one.
The GameCube
The
didn't have
GameCube definitely didn't have one.
Okay.
Well, they might have had an extension that you could buy for it or whatever. I don't know about all that third party shit, but yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's not that monumental to me.
It's not. It's. I was watching a video. They said, "Hey, Nintendo 2001 called."
Right. Maybe pretty soon we'll be able to talk to each other over the game. Wouldn't that be neat?
Right.
Nintendo introduces revolutionary voice chat. You know, I'm talking shit, but the thing is, Nintendo has introduced a lot of things to the gaming world first.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to do a controller, because before that it was Atari joysticks.
Yep.
So that little 2-button NES, first people to do it. They were the first ones to introduce vibration. Before PlayStation, they had the Rumble Pack for N64.
Mm-hmm.
The analog sticks, the single analog stick, they were the first to do that. They're probably a first at a few other things. I mean, motion controls, they popularized that, right, with the Wii. So I don't want to knock them too much. They usually lead the way and then get copied. And then the copies end up kind of improving and making the whole thing better. But still, they're the ones out there risking it all with those crazy-ass ideas. Yeah,
now they're like, fuck innovation. Let's just do what's going to make money, which is fine. Because, I mean, the Switch is an amazing system.
Yeah, and it's not the first increment. I think people are thinking more of the Switch like a console, which it is, but we have to also remember it's a Nintendo handheld. In the world of Nintendo handhelds, this is like the Game Boy Advance going to the Game Boy Advance SP. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
And I wasn't mad at all about that. You know why? I think you know why. I think you know what I'm about to say. Because the Game Boy Advance SP had a fucking backlit screen. Yes, you already know. And oh my god, that changed the game.
Yeah.
That was needed so bad for that system. So I think the thing was with this ain't fixing any glaring issues or needs for people. And again, it's not a console bump up. It's not keeping up with the current trend or the need or desire for 4K gaming. I get it. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but I'm just going to pass it by and be thankful that it's not going to hit my wallet this fall like so many other things, you know?
Yeah, I'm fine with it not being 4K. I just need that performance to be better.
Yeah, like having a better locked frame rate would be nice.
Yes.
C'est la vie. Still, I love my Switch, and I love the games that are exclusive to Switch. I don't need the Switch Pro, but it would have been nice. So
we'll get a Switch Pro in another 2 years when they do another revision of the Switch. Yeah, so someday, just be patient, everybody.
Oh yeah. I got plenty to tide me over. Got my series. I mean, I'm spoiled.
No, you're not. Yeah,
I'm spoiled.
You're not hurting for any entertainment.
I got 4 modern ways to play games. Got the PC, got the Series X, got the PS5, got the Switch. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of good to go, Sony had their State of Play this week. And it was okay. Like, it wasn't like... I'm glad they didn't show up at E3 because we would have made fun of them like we made fun of Capcom. Yeah. For sure. So I'm just going to quickly run through the games that were shown, and then afterwards we can talk about whatever we found interesting. So I don't think I wrote down every single game, so if I miss one, let me know. But we had a Moss sequel announced for PlayStation VR, Arcade-ageddon, which I think is on PS5 now as like a alpha or a trial, Tribes of Midgard, Fist, or what they call Forged in Shadow Torch. Yep, whatever. Let's see, Hunter's Arena Legends, Sifu, Jet, Demon Slayer, Lost Judgment, which is the sequel to Judgment, more on Death Stranding Director's Cut, and then a huge gameplay showcase for Deathloop, which good news for Deathloop fans.
Yeah, but I just feel like that gameplay showcase for Deathloop is completely unnecessary. We've seen so much of that game already.
Oh, yeah? You don't think it showed anything new? I kind of skimmed it. I wasn't really interested, but...
Yeah, it was too long. It was way too long. I was just like, okay, it's Dishonored. We get it. Like, it's not really... Yeah.
Yeah, they focused on all the different ways to set up kills and dispatch enemies and all that, which I don't think surprised anybody, but maybe there was some new information in there for those who are following it closely. I don't know. Yeah. If you're a fan of Deathloop and you want to see more, this is definitely the best thing to look at this point. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Deathloop drops September 14th. Death Stranding Director's Cut. So they showed everything that they're going to upgrade. New melee, new combat tools like portable or like, I guess, standalone turrets or something. Mm-hmm. There's new encounters and story missions and boss battles. There's new cargo delivery systems like a cargo cannon. Basically, picture a giant t-shirt cannon, but you shoot cargo to the destination. It looks like there was what they call the Fragile Raceway. It looked like a VR thing where you can race cars, I guess. And speaking of VR, there was a training area where you can like practice shooting, like almost like back when Metal Gear released VR missions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. I don't know. You can upgrade your PS4 version if you bought the game to PS5 for $10, or just buy the game itself for like 60 or 70, depending on what you get it on. Mm. I might check it out. I don't know if there's enough here to really make the game better. But maybe there's enough tweaks. They hinted at enough tweaks to where it doesn't feel like such a slog. Because you also have like robot buddies you can ride around with. It looks like they tweaked some of the vehicles. I don't know. What do you think?
Like I only played the first game. I mean the original version for 1 or 2 hours, and I was done. I was like, this is stupid.
So you didn't even really get to the part where it opens up, which is like 5 hours in. Like a JRPG.
Yeah, no. And, right. But even then, a JRPG is like kind of fun in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the cannon seems nice. I like that they added that ramp in that you could set up so you can actually cross.
So you can actually jump a canyon and not worry about falling down.
Yeah. But
I can't wait to see Junkie play this game.
Yeah, the funny thing is when you asked what was missing from the game, apparently quite a bit.
Right. I was like,
how is that not the director's cut?
How is that not the direct? Well, when you think director's cut, you think deleted scenes and stuff like that. But, you know, when it comes to a video game, he's like, no, I just added all this extra shit. All right.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's fun. But, I mean, cool for Death Stranding fans. Cool for people who haven't played it yet and were interested. Now they have a better reason to play it.
Yeah, got a better version, hopefully. Lost Judgment looks great. I liked, you know, they start off very serious like they did with the original Judgment trailers where they show you like, you know, there's a murder mystery.
There was a dead body left in.
Bodies. But then it just shoots to all the bullshit that you really come to the game for. Tak gets a dog, he's boxing, there's a dancing minigame, there's battle robots, there's racing, there's skateboarding, there's more traversal options, there's stupid silly combat. Your favorite characters are returning like Sugiru and Kaito. I love it. It looks great. I'm gonna get it. That comes out on the 24th. I think the same day that the director's cut of Death Stranding comes out. They're both
the 24th
on September 24th.
Damn, so many games.
I know. Dude.
I will say this, like you told me before. I got a PS5 at the right time because these games are starting to drop like every month.
Yeah, dude.
Like the better versions of the PS5 versions of games, anyway. That they're dropping every month. Like Tales of Arise comes out in September. Lost Judgment comes out in September. Death Stranding comes out. It's a lot.
Yeah, Demon Slayer's coming out on October 15th for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I'm not really a big Demon Slayer fan, but I know you are. Did you have anything to say about it?
I mean, it's a CyberConnect game. They're the people that do the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games. If it plays anything like those games, it'll be a good fun time for however long you want to play it. But I don't think I'm going to jump into it just because, like Naruto, so many characters, so many different like moves and combos you can do. Demon Slayer, each character you play as basically is just using a sword. And it just seems like it's going to be a little samey to me. Some of the boss battles looked really cool, but
yeah, I was going to say, it looked like the uniqueness in the game did revolve around the boss battles because of the environmental hazards and the type of attacks that you have to react to.
Yeah, and the story modes for their games are always like fire. Like they're always really good, really cinematic.
Yeah.
Very, what is the word? Very faithful to the source material. So I will get it.
Playing? Yeah, I was gonna say, how are you not gonna play this? You love Demon Slayer.
I will get it. It's just like I've seen the show, and the show is so fucking good and so beautifully animated that I don't think that the game can match that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
One
I'm gonna
game
get
I
it.
saw that I think I've seen before, but I don't remember it. When I saw it on the State of Play, it got me really interested. Remember that game called Jet with 2 T's?
Yeah.
So you're exploring an alien planet, and it looks like your main mode of traversal is basically jetting across the planet, this little rocket.
Mm-hmm.
And you're with a team that's kind of doing scouting and just trying to figure out if the planet's inhabitable, I guess. And you actually work to avoid conflict, and the game presents situations that make that kind of difficult. So it's less about fighting and more about surviving. Mm-hmm. And the different environments they showed in the trailer made the planet and exploring it look really interesting to me. And it also looked a little cerebral because aside from all the laid back and planet exploring and checking things out and the fun traversal, it also had for the main character some story bits and some dream sequences that would break up that type of gameplay as well. I don't know. It looked very imaginative, which is one of the cool things about video games is exploring a new world. And so many times, especially nowadays, I feel like the world is just the backdrop for, what you're doing. You don't really notice the art or the effort that's put into it, but that seems to be the focus of this game. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm intrigued, at least.
Yeah, it didn't really interest me.
Didn't light your fire.
I thought the art was kind of iffy on the characters and stuff. It just looked a little weird to me. I don't know. Just being a little bougie, I guess. I don't know.
It reminded me like a graphic novel. They were all very blocky and square,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Sifu. They showed a little bit more for Sifu. So we've been following that because it looks like a cool beat 'em up. Did you notice in that trailer that every time he got defeated or smacked down, like his age ticked up?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that, I don't know exactly how it's going to play mechanically, but I'm guessing as far as the story, you're progressing through this character's life. And Sifu, which is Chinese for master, maybe in reference to you starting out learning Kung Fu and practicing it till you get really old and you become a master, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Is that kind of the...
I think. That's what it looks like, but...
They don't really... other than just showing you kick ass, that's all they really show. There's no story bits. I'm kind of giving this game the side eye. Yeah, at this point, I'm like, this game is seeming a little bare bones, which is not a big deal of a beat 'em up, but I'm wondering if there is any story, or if it's just drop you in a level and age you 10 years if you lose. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, he's like, I turned 54, now I can use a baseball bat.
I learned the secret technique, poke you in the eyeballs.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, it was funny the way they did this, because they did it like it was a good thing. They showed 2021, and then they crossed it out and went, boom, early 2022. Okay.
Right. Okay.
It's like,
kind of wanted to play that this year.
We're doing it later. Fuck you.
Right.
I was like, okay. So
Sifu will beat your ass.
But like later. So you got more time to say goodbye to your loved ones. Something that's coming to PlayStation Plus, so we'll easily be able to check it out early August, is Hunter's Arena Legends. They described it in the trailer as a battle royale fighting game with a solo and trio mode. So think Fortnite, but instead of guns, they kind of drop you in where you can fight NPC monsters and gods and demons, but also like your unique fighting character could run into and fight other fighting characters as well. And then trio mode would be the same thing, other than you're working with you and 2 other people to take, to be the winners of the particular match. The fact that it's free and it looks so different from most other Battle Royale games, I'm going to give it a look-see. I don't know. What do you think about it?
You know me, I'm not big on multiplayer stuff, man. So,
yeah. Okay.
It's drop in, drop out, cool, whatever. Have fun over there somewhere away from me.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had Tribes of Midgard, up to 10 players. Looks like a live service Diablo game, July 27th. Arcade Geddon, I don't remember. I kind of don't care. Fist coming out September 7th.
Which actually did look cool.
Fist looks
it's
neat.
Just
2D
yeah, it
side-scrolling.
just looked like it was trying to be too edgy. Yeah. Fist forged in Shadow Torch.
Yeah, it's a little bunny rabbit with a giant mechanical arm. Yeah.
And I can also have a drill on it.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'll probably be getting that one the side eye too. Mm-hmm. All right, so the only other thing we had in news this week that we're going to get to, just not right now, was Resident Evil Infinite Darkness dropped on Netflix this week, and it's just under 2 hours, so it's really easy to watch. We're going to wait till the end of the episode. We're going to start with spoiler-free talk, and then I will very specifically say when we're going to start the spoiler talk. But of course, both segments will be time-stamped. So when we get to that point, and we get to the spoiler part, at that point you can just timestamp past it. In fact, since it's the last thing, you can shut the episode off if you want. I don't care.
Right.
But yeah, before we get into that, some listener question follow-up. So last week we talked about the video of the guy saying, "This is all I have," when the woman was talking to him about his video games. Well, apparently it wasn't a talking to. Ron B actually sent us a link to the TikTok video, and both of us watched it today. And basically, the woman has the camera in her hand. She's making a TikTok video, and on it, in quotes, it says, "This is all I have." So she wrote that down when she uploaded the video, which makes it even more jerky. She basically just walks up while he's playing his PlayStation and shuts it off. And he sees her starting to do it. He's like, "No, no, 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 no." And he's like, "Why would you do that?" And she's like, "'Cause you're on it all the time." And he's like, "This is all I have." And it just ended. And there were a lot of responses, a lot of women and men chiming in. But one of the responses he wanted to focus on was a response video where they showed it. And a man just says, "Hey, look around your house and find the thing that, your guy can do to relax, that he enjoys. Not his tools that he uses to fix shit, not the lawnmower or any of that stuff. That's more of a responsibility. But look around and find the thing in the house that he uses to decompress. Likely, it's a console, right?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought about my own house. When we were considering buying a house and going to have it built, my thing was I want a basement. And I was like, the basement's mine. And that way you can decorate the rest of the house or do whatever with the rest of the house that you want to do, and just let me have the basement. That's where I'm going to decompress. And of course, I use video games primarily to decompress. I know you do too. So then it became a question of, when he says, "This is all I have," it seems like a lot of people interpreted that as, this is what I use to relax. Now, again, this is so out of context even with the video. We don't know how long he plays video games, if he skirts any responsibilities to play video games. It was still dickish of her to film him and then shut his shit off. Yeah. I hated that.
Completely disrespectful.
Yeah, so disrespectful. But I don't know. Have your thoughts changed? I mean, what's your take on it?
I mean, just from the context of the video. Well, actually, we have no context. But just from watching the video, I'm just like, damn. She's disrespectful as fuck.
Right?
And apparently he just needs his time to play his games. We don't know what all the time means to her. Does all the time mean, he comes home from work, plays for 2 hours, and then the next 4 hours of the night he's with her? Does it mean he comes home and does he even have a job? We don't know. Yeah. We don't know any of these things. So end of the day, how I feel about it is, if your significant other, male or female, doesn't matter, is taking care of their responsibilities to you, to your kids, to your household, then they should be allowed whatever time they need to enjoy themselves on their game console, on the pool table, on whatever the fuck they want to do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As long as everything is taken care of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess his interpretation was that, some wives and girlfriends aren't thrilled when they're dating or married to somebody who is a gamer because they may see it as immature. And there is a bit of a stigma with people who don't play games, although I feel like that's dissipating because more and more people are playing games across all walks of life. Yeah. But, yeah, maybe he was more seeing it as just a disrespect towards this hobby as something childish, or something that isn't seen as much respect as, say, watching TV or reading books, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it sparks a conversation about being judgy about what somebody chooses to do to decompress. And as two grown man children, I think we can both relate to that. But anybody in my life that looks down on me or talks shit about that, I have eliminated. And by eliminated, I want to just denote feds. I did not kill anybody.
All right, I have eliminated them.
No, I just stopped talking to them.
They're in the backyard in a hole.
But no, that's toxic. When somebody yucks your yum, or they disrespect something because they feel like what you're doing isn't worthwhile, and your bills are paid and your responsibilities are met and you take care of your people, then fuck them.
Yeah.
All right. That's the update of that. Yeah. That's the update on that. So this week, I just got to know, Derrick, what are you feeling?
I'm feeling a YouTube channel by the name of TronicsFix, which I just realized is short for Electronics Fix. So basically, I just found this guy today, and he basically just buys broken game systems and he fixes them. And he shows you him taking them apart and cleaning them out. And if he needs a new part for it, he shows you putting the new part in. And it's just really it's really cool.
I love watching videos like that where they take like an old, abused, beat up, gunky Game Boy and make it new. Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, and I look at it, I'm like, man, because, I've dabbled in fixing stuff, but it seems to take a long time. But the way that he does it makes it seem like it's not hard at all. So I'm like, man, maybe I should buy me some Well, I have like 7 PSPs that need to be fixed. I should just go and figure out how to fix those so I can get some money.
Yeah, but, if you're not going to sell them anyway, use those things to practice on. Learn like which tools you got to keep by, which supplies. That's probably how he did it. I bet that'd be cool. Plus, then you can fix my PSP.
There you go. But yeah, man. So that's what I'm feeling this week, and it may have lit a fire under me to go ahead and start fixing some consoles again.
Cool.
So
cool. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, this week I was checking out some Disney Plus, and I mean, this isn't like new, but newish. That new Pixar movie dropped, Luca. Have you seen it?
Only like 20,000 fucking times.
Nora's obsessed with Luca. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, Ben's obsessed with Luca too. I think he even got a Luca toy from McDonald's something recently. That
she's got like 7 Luca toys.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's was really cute.
Sweet film.
It was very sweet. It's definitely about an allegory about coming out as a gay child.
Yeah. Anybody who says otherwise.
Yeah. Like Chris and I were both watching it. Like, they're gay, right? They're definitely
gay, right?
Yeah. But for some reason, the director and people behind the movie don't want to admit that, even though that's clearly the story they were telling. It's really weird, the whole situation behind it. But it sparked like a lot of fans and art and cool shit. And the story is just really simple and sweet. And it's like a classic Pixar tale. And I really enjoyed it. So for those of you who have Disney Plus and haven't checked it out, I think it's fun for the whole family, obviously, because I watched it with my kid. You watched it with your kid. The wives really like it. Well, I'm speaking for Victoria. Did she enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's tears flowing multiple parts in that movie.
Oh, Vicky.
Like,
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Me too, hell.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I don't know if Luca made me cry. I think it came close. You know one part I did like about Luca? I thought this was a really cool part. Do you remember, I don't know the girl's name that they met, that they befriended.
Julia.
Thank you. Her dad, he's a fisherman, and he's missing one of his arms. And one of the characters is like staring at his not arm. And he sees the character staring at it. He goes, I was born this way. And then he just like...
Well, first he says a sea monster ate it.
Yeah, and he's like... and he goes, no, I'm just kidding. I was born this way. And then like he like chomps on a net and chops it with one hand and does something very deftly. And I thought it was cool that he didn't have some tragic backstory. He was born with a deformity and he lived with it, and they didn't make a big deal out of it. You know? I was like, that's nice.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really cool. He's one of my favorite characters in the movie.
Yeah,
especially when he shows up, he's like, blah, 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 blah.
And he was actually pretty pivotal towards the end of the film too. Like, not to spoil anything, but things could have went south pretty easily without his presence. So that was cool. Yeah. All right. Well, before we go, I want to get into the topic of the Resident Evil show that dropped this week. Now, I don't know about you. I have seen a fair amount of the live-action Resident Evil movies that are not really affiliated with Capcom other than licensing, probably. Paul W.S. Anderson. I think we talked about it before. I really only like the first one. The rest of them can go in a dumpster fire. And even the first one, I'm just like, eh. I'm like, it's on.
I've seen all of them except for the last one.
Fair enough. And as far as the CG movies, I think I've seen and I own Degeneration, and that's it. I know that there are others. Yeah, Degeneration's pretty cool. I know there are others. I just never got my hands on them. But this follows in those footsteps because it's CG. And once again, I should say, Leon's the main character. What's interesting about Infinite Darkness is it takes place in 2006. just after Resident Evil 4 and like at the very beginning of Resident Evil 5. Like literally while we're watching this show, Chris Redfield and Jill are at the Spencer Mansion fighting Wesker. Like that whole flashback thing in Resident Evil 5, if you remember that. Like, that's what's going on concurrent to this series. So 4 episodes, they're about 26 to 28 minutes long. You're looking at just under 2 hours.
Could have just been a movie.
Could have just been a movie. I don't know why it wasn't. You're right. That's really weird that it wasn't a movie. Why the fuck wasn't it in a movie? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. What did you think about Resident Evil Infinite Darkness?
Okay, so
without any spoilers, because we're not doing any spoilers just yet.
Yeah, a little backstory. I have seen every single CG Resident Evil movie except for Vendetta, which I believe was the latest one. Okay. And I have thoroughly enjoyed each and every one.
Oh, nice.
Every single one felt like it was the kind of pinnacle of CG animation for a video game property anyway.
It's for its time, yeah.
Yeah, and like they were just all so good. This show is not good.
No, it's
not. It is not good. I like to try and find something good about shows that I want to enjoy, but there's nothing good about this besides like a few scenes here and there. But the story is just what story? The characters are unintelligent.
True. There are some.
We'll get into that in spoilers.
Like, I mean, do you not know that zombies exist?
Yeah, oh my god. I'm like, is this a Resident Evil movie or is this Resident Evil? I guess I can't say 0 because that's a game that exists.
Like, is this Resident Evil 1995 or is this 2006? Right. Come on, guys. We know what's up.
Yeah, it's my god. It's not good. The character animations, sometimes they move extremely weird.
It's very inconsistent, right? Sometimes the animation looks good, and then other times they're like, did they mocap? Or is this like
when the soldiers...
Starkiller walking around in Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Remember that? Oh my god. The walk animation.
When the soldiers are like scuttling around, like their legs are moving entirely too fast.
It's crazy.
And it's unsettling. I'm like, how is he not tired from his legs moving that fast?
Yeah, there's a main character. I think her name is Shi-Yun or something like that.
Shin something. Shin Mei.
Yeah, it's a Chinese lady who's in the American military, but I guess. But that's another thing I found. We'll get to that later. Anyways, when she's walking, I'm like, well, what is this walk? Anyways. But yeah, it's very inconsistent with the animation and the voice acting. The voice acting of the main characters, they use the voice actors from the remakes. So Resident Evil 2 remake, the person that voiced Leon and the person that voiced Claire, even though they look different in the remake, those voices are the ones we hear in the show. Yikes. And for her part, the voice actor for Claire, you could tell she was altering her voice to sound more like classic Claire because that's what her face looked like. But the voice actor for Leon just sounded like baby Leon from the remake, even though he had man Leon's face. And that was a little off, but I got over it once Leon started quipping. When he was like, wish I had some more cheese. I was like,
But I heard that and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking corny as shit.
I loved it,
but
though,
then again,
that's what I like about Leon.
What is Resident Evil really?
Yeah. Give me the corny.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I feel like the plot was underbaked. Just like they had an idea there, but they didn't have time to fully explore it, so they just wrapped it up in the cheapest, most unfulfilling way possible. Yeah.
How can we link this to future games that actually happen? Oh, okay,
we'll say symbol. And with that, I think at this point we should get into the spoiler review. I want to quickly talk about why the plot is so fucking dumb. And we'll just go there. So this is the spoiler portion. If you haven't seen the next flick, it's 2 hours. Go watch it. Come back and listen to this part.
It's under 2 hours.
It's under 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a fake country called Panamistan, right?
Which,
Panamistan?
oh my god.
It's a dumb name.
Can they say it enough in this fucking show?
Panamistan.
Panamistan.
I don't know the whole story other than it's a country that is vital in positioning between the U.S. and China, even though the U.S. and China aren't connected. But I guess it's like an end to China. I don't know. Whatever. There are some military copters flying over, and one crashes, and it's like during like a civil war, I guess, or like a time of regime or leadership change in Panamstan. So people are in the streets shooting, and I guess the U.S. there to stabilize it. Which usually they're there fucking helping and making it worse. But when the chopper goes down, I think they're called Mad Dogs. The Mad Dogs unit, they're like,
Dogs.
"Hey man, we're gonna go save him." And the director of the military operations like, "Negative, stay in formation." And the leader of the unit's like, "Fuck that noise. We're gonna go down and we're gonna save him." So they go down and immediately get attacked, and things go south. They end up finding one survivor, and through flashback you find out more bits of the story, but that ends up being the character we're talking about later, the Chinese lady, Xin Yun. It ends up being her brother, who is also in the American military. Yet her grandfather's still in China, and he's super rich.
Yeah, making sense.
I mean, sure, whatever, fine.
No.
So they drag him out, and I guess he was there in a covert op, and you find out that his covert op was actually, they were experimenting with what they call another, air quotes, pharmaceutical company to test bioweapons in the area, since it was like civil unrest and they could get away with it, I guess. And he was part of those experiments. He lost both his arms and his legs. He's about to die. And then as they're like trapped in a building and trying to get out of like the Civil War or whatever, they get attacked by zombies, and pretty much everybody in the unit gets bit. Jun-Si, before he dies, he's like, "Take the serum in my pack and it'll stop you from turning." So now all these guys are on the hook to take this like anti-serum so they won't turn into zombies. And Jun-Si does turn into zombies since he didn't get his. I guess they try to communicate with base, and only the woman who's in the control room, her brother, Xin Yun, she hears them and like goes to them somehow. I don't know how that works. There's a whole lot of shit happening off screen that you're like, how does that work?
Yeah, because it's like, where are they in relation to the base?
I don't know. I have no idea. So she shows up and she sees her brother, and they figure out a way to get him smuggled into China instead of being picked up by the U.S. Again, how? I don't know. Slowly but surely, all of the guys end up offing themselves because the director of the operation, who ends up being like the Secretary of State for the president, he wields his connection with the pharmaceutical company to dangle, I guess, the serum over their heads and make them do a bunch of dirty covert ops, and then one by one they all
show us.
Yeah, they never show any of the covert ops. One by one they all kill themselves, so by the time we're looking at the show, there's only 2 members left. One of them, along with Shun Yin, is trying to... I don't know why I'm going so deep into this plot, to be honest.
Me either.
Let me just speed along. So they're trying to prove the conspiracy that the Secretary of State is working with the pharmaceutical company, but the main leader of the Mad Dogs unit is actually crazy, and what he really wants is, you know what terror is?
The root of terror is...
The root of terror is fear. Bro. Stupid. It's so dumb. And Leon like tries to stop them because he's centrist good cop, and he's like, exposing the conspiracy is not the way.
Right.
And Shunyin's like, but we should. And then he's like, but the guy you're working with doesn't want to do that. He wants to hurt people, which is true. That's how you wrote him. So he's crazy, right. And then he turns to a bioweapon, and Claire's there sometimes being a background figure.
Being a damsel.
Being a damsel, completely devoid of agency or effect on the plot at all.
Yeah.
I think she discovers that one of the guys from the unit kills himself more recently and gets a note and threatens the director, who then kidnaps her, and then Leon has to save her. She does nothing. And as badass as she has been in the games, I've noticed if you go back, she's always been needing to be saved by somebody. It's so fucked up. And it's the worst I've ever seen it in this show. Yeah. Anyways, Leon stops the bad guy, and then Claire's like, cool, give me the evidence so we can expose the director. And he's like, nah.
No. Nah,
I'm centrist Leon, and I suck. And she's like, okay, well, you do things your way, and I'll do things my way. Doesn't fight him on it, and she leaves, and he walks into the sunset. And I'm left feeling pissed off.
Yeah.
So Leon had quips. There's this whole fight on a sub where there's these zombie rats that he has to fight. That scene was cool. It's on YouTube already. Really cool. So if you don't want to watch the show, just go to YouTube, type in Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, Leon fights the rats. Watch that shit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He says funny, really quippy shit. Yeah, it looked great. He says funny, quippy shit sometimes, but as a character, he sucks ass. He doesn't believe in challenging the U.S. government, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's buddy-buddy with the president after he saved her daughter.
Right.
It's dumb. There's this really flowery speech about how we have to be the beacon for the world and help Pan Am Stan rebuild because that's what the U.S. is. And I'm like,
that is something that I hate about these fucking Resident Evil movies. The fucking grandstanding that America is like the paragon for peace, truth, and justice in the world. And only America can fix the world. And it's like, bullshit.
And the thing is, you can interpret it one of two ways, and they're both bad. Either Japan is making... Either Japan is making a commentary on how we should be, which fuck you, like it shouldn't just be up to us, or they're trying to like push propaganda how we actually like are in the
see
past,
ourselves,
or how we see ourselves, or how we like. Because I don't think anybody can say at this point that's what we are. If they are, they're not paying attention. But either it's a parody and they're critiquing us, or they're holding us up to an ideal that we've fallen short from recently, which again. We've never really held up that ideal. America, listen, people. Listen, Americans out there. It's time for some hard truths. America has never been great. I'm sorry. Yep. We fled England for religious persecution reasons to then murder and genocide the Native Americans here and persecute our own for religious reasons. We entered late in the transatlantic slave trade because that shit's been going on long before America and somehow just made it even worse. and from the 13th Amendment to now have systematically pitted our minorities and our poor against each other while we funneled all the money to the top to develop this oligarchy we call fucking capitalism. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Leftist rant
Resident
over.
Evil.
Right?
Yes, no. Everything you just said is true.
Yeah.
And it fits with what we're talking about. But
yeah,
man.
So whenever I see a piece of propaganda, especially nowadays, that talks about, well, America needs to be fuck right off. I'm sorry. And the fact that Netflix and like the people were like, oh, when you review this, don't talk about the politics or your politics. You can't use the military and the president and the U.S. like foreign relations as a backdrop to your show and then ask that we don't get political. It's inherently political. Mm-hmm. Like, So that's like salt on the wound that is this bad show. Yeah. And yeah, I would, even to Resident Evil fans, if you're curious, it's not a huge time investment, but again,
it's not good.
It's not even heavy on the action like the older CG movies that you like Degeneration, for example.
Degeneration was
There's tons of zombies. There's lots of action. It's like a bottle film because you're like stuck in that building, and the monster is like even the end bioweapon. Like when the main leader of the Mad Dogs turns into a bioweapon, there's no tentacles. There's no like deformities or bullshit. He just turns into a Hulk monster who simultaneously has the strength to tear off a bridge and throw it at somebody, but also struggles to like pull himself up a rope. Right. Fuck off. Like, I can't. I
can't do this pull up. I should have skipped arm day. Oh my god. It's so inconsistent.
It is. It's just, I think they had an idea for a show and it was poorly executed and maybe they ran out of time or money. I don't know. It was just so lazy.
Yeah.
And
now what
they did to Claire.
Yeah. What did I like about the show? Okay. The rat scene.
Yeah, rat scene
glorious.
Was
cool. Glorious.
Yep. Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. I will ask one question about the rat scene though. Where the fuck did they come from? Because if you're telling me that dude just smuggled on a fucking rat,
and that rat somehow multiplied,
yes,
or all those guys had rats. I don't know.
As much as Resident Evil doesn't make sense, this made no fucking sense. It was cool, but it's like, really? Come on.
It's like your suspension of disbelief is less suspension and more like, fuck your beliefs. Things happen. Deal with it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not even going to talk about good stuff anymore because I want to talk about the really, really weird bad stuff. So Leon sees the main bad guy like grunting and sticking himself with a needle in the bathroom, and he just kind of walks by like, oh, that was weird.
Well, I think he could tell that he was probably suppressing a T-virus or something of some sort, and he was just making a mental note. I don't think that was necessarily bad.
I don't
mean,
know,
because he was putting pieces together, right? Like, I think he knew. But he was on a submarine. Like, what's he going to do? Like, hey, are you a zombie? Tell me now so we can fight. You know, he didn't really
also when he
confront him
sees...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. When he sees dead sailors on this submarine, he just steps over them and continues walking. Dude, have you not seen zombies?
It was weird that he didn't pop him in the head. But again,
yes, the whole
with his
movie.
With his knife.
Yeah, the whole movie, I'm like, just stab him in the head. Just stab him in the head. And wouldn't have helped in this situation because
like he shot the leader of the Mad Dogs in the heart and then left. That was weird. He should have popped him in the head for sure.
Oh my God, that was so stupid. I was like, oh, that guy's still alive.
I'm like, how many Resident Evil games have you been in so far? Bro. I mean, I know it's not Resident Evil 6 yet, but we're getting there.
Right.
China.
The flashbacks, too many damn flashbacks to the same fucking thing.
Yeah. I didn't mind that so much, but what they actually ended up revealing was less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, we came to this place and now we're stuck in this spot. Well, we're going back to present day now. What actually happened, guys? And what actually happened?
It was hell.
Right.
It was hell. We got bit by zombies and then we left. It was hell.
Right. And then at the end of the movie, when he's just like, the villain's just like, I want to spread terror. Oh, terror, fear. Oh, let me up there and spread terror and fear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, was he going up there to kill people? Or was he just going up there to show himself?
Well, that's
because I didn't get the vibe that he was going up there to kill anybody.
Right. At first, no. It looked like he just wanted to prove his existence, right? But then...
Right.
And again, you almost make Leon out to be the centrist bad guy, which he still ended up being. They couldn't let that thread go. But in the beginning, when Leon was trying to stop him, I'm like, let him go. Let him fuck up the secretary's day. Whatever. But then when, again, Shun-Yin, I can't remember her damn name. When she steps in front of them, like, I can't let you go. I don't want them to try to kill you. Like, she was worried about him. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm already dead. And then he breaks her arm and snaps her neck. And I'm like, the fuck?
It made
Why,
no sense.
though?
It made no sense.
The sense was, the story goes, okay, we have to make him irredeemable and a danger. And since we haven't established that yet, just have him kill her. And then Leon will be a big fucking hero when he shoots him with a rocket launcher. Which that was another good line. I can't remember what he said. Like, he opened up the thing, he was like, hey, sexy.
yeah, I like that. I like that line.
That was funny.
But he was already kind of irredeemable because they killed everybody on that submarine. For what reason? They were taking you to where you wanted to go.
You know, when I saw that too, I thought it was another example. I thought it was Killmonger all over again. I thought it was taking a radical position, right? Like exposing a conspiracy and taking action on that and actually, you know, trying to bring some accountability, but in a centrist Hollywood way, marrying it with extremism where the terrorist or the extremist always has to hurt people in order to make it seem like not the way. So that way the main centrist good guy can be on the right side and go, but you didn't have to kill people. No, they didn't. Why'd they write it that way?
There was literally no reason to kill anybody on that sub. They were taking you where you needed to go.
Yeah. No.
And then they waited on Leon, I guess. Like,
because he thought Leon might be able to help. But the thing is, if you thought he was going to help, why wouldn't you just get him on board to begin with? And that way you wouldn't have to worry about him being a liability later. Like, nobody... Anyways, that's what we thought of Resident Evil Infinite Darkness.
Yeah. I thought that one guy in the beginning, the kind of rookie-looking agent, was going to die. And he survived the whole time. That confused the fuck out of me.
Mr. President, Leon says that the secretary is bad and China didn't do it. And the president's like, oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Well, I'll just set the speech aside. And...
Right. We got to be cool now, guys. Got to be real cool, real smooth, baby.
All right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's that.
1 out of 5.
Yeah, I know before I finished the show, before the last episode, I was thinking 2 out of 5. 1 out of 5. I agree with you.
Fucking awful.
All right. We'll be right back. All right. And we're back. What a wonderful ad that was. It's the same ad we always play. Maybe somebody else will actually take notice. Who knows? In the meantime, to pay those dues, Derrick, if the people are interested in them gamer goodies, possibly more, where can they locate you at? Check out the stuff you have in your store.
So they can check out everything I have for sale at ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. They can follow me on Instagram at gamergoodiesmore and Twitter at goodies_more. I'm posting stuff, trying to post stuff every day, but you know how life goes. So, you know, I do it when I can. So check me out.
I think you're doing all right, man. Well, also, you can find us at our main hub at anchor.fm/player2 is enter the pod. And we post episodes every single Sunday. We can be listened to at that hub or anywhere you can find podcasts available. That includes Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook.com/player2 is enter the pod. The YouTube channel is called Player2 is enter the podcast. And we put notifications of new episodes as they drop if you'd like to subscribe or follow us there. You can follow me personally. I'm on Twitter at MikePetersonAL, and I also do Twitch streaming, twitch.tv/MCPaperstacks, and you can check the schedule, but I typically stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays. And finally, we have a Patreon, so if you'd like to support our Patreon and consider throwing a few bucks our way to help support the show, all that money will go back into the show to make it even better experience for our listeners. You can visit patreon.com/player2 is enter the pod. And check out the different tiers to see if something interests you and helps support us. We'd really appreciate it. And that is our show.
And what a show it was. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Love you. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace.